I don't think it's the right timing. It's pretty still in the moment. It's a tough one. Obviously, tough way to go out. So take a couple of days, couple of weeks. I don't think there's much rush to jump into a decision one way or another. I know we're very dramatic around here, so sorry to ruin that for you, Eric. But yeah, it'll take some time.
Happy to try.
No, appreciate it.
Yeah. I asked Nick, with the core being so similar between last year and this year, can you put your finger on why it clicked so well last year and for the most part it just didn't this year?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to say. I think, it was new. It was new the first time around. I think there was no expectations or low expectations. I think we just kind of went with the flow. I think teams also had a year to prepare for us and how we play. I think that we started slow, way too slow, and once we picked it up, we were already, 4, 5, 6 games under 500. I think that, starting in January, the team started to take a bit of a shift in the right direction. Adding Jakob changed the complexion a lot. So it's really almost 3 different stages of the season, which was early on, not very good, and we lost our fabric of what the winning, the magic that comes with just winning and just figuring it out, what we've done so well around here so many years. We lost that for a couple weeks, fought to get it back, and ultimately you put yourself in a position to have a chance to get into the playoffs, and I don't think there's any good way to lose a playing game, and certainly the way we did it was a head scratcher. So yes, it's a tough season.
How much do you think that the team's sort of catching on to what you guys were doing? How much of that was a factor this year? Just they're prepared for what you were bringing?
I mean, some. You still got to go out and play the game. That probably had something to do with it. I think we also just didn't do what we do at a high level for most of the year. We didn't execute at a high level. We didn't perform. I don't know how many games we came in talking about energy and, just not playing hard enough or tough enough or smart enough. So there's a lot of things that we could have done better, obviously, in hindsight. But when you're in the moment, it's just funky like that sometimes. And, all in all, like I said, I think a disappointing season from our standards and where we want to be and just the tradition that we've built here. And we just didn't meet that mark, for this season.
Just going back to your situation for a sec, did you, is there anything that happened this year that's going to, this year in particular, that's going to affect your decision this summer, coming back or not?
No, I don't think so. I think the relationship's in a good place. I think that, like I said before, we've built something special here. I think that just my whole NBA life is here, you know what I mean? So I think that holds some value and some weight. I think the relationship with management and coaching and whatever is all in a great place. And that hasn't changed. I don't want to necessarily go through another season like this. I think that we can certainly be better than we were this year. But no.
Have you ever had that on a team in the past where everybody vocalizes that we need more energy, we're all going to buy in, and then that falls flat?
No, I've never had that before. I think that it's just something that you do. It's not really even something that's spoken about. There's the old rule is that you don't have to coach, energy and effort, right? You just got to bring that. So whatever the reason is, trust me, if I had the answer, we would have fixed it a long time ago. But it was just one of those things sometimes where just some nights we didn't have it. So, again, where we finished, 41. So I don't know where you guys had us, on a win column before the season. I certainly had it higher than 41, but I think everybody in this room can count, probably up to 10 games that we certainly should have won and could have won. So, you take half of that, right? And I think 48 probably got you in the top 6 maybe this year, somewhere in there, which we ended up last season. So the margin is very small, and I think we usually end up on the other side of that line, but this year we're probably just right under where we needed to be.
Right, at the end of the year, you got back together as a team and played for each other. Did it get a little bit off the rails early in the year? Could that have, the chemistry get a little bit out of whack early in the year? Might have led to that slow first spurt?
I wouldn't use chemistry, Doug, just because I'm really not trying to be a part of any scandalous headlines here. But I would say that I would say that we tried a lot of different things, right? So we tried a lot of different things this year, offensively, defensively. We tried, focusing on different guys and featuring different guys. We tried to play a different way. We tried a lot of things, and we were experimenting a lot. And sometimes it goes good, and sometimes it doesn't work. And I think that a lot of things that we explored this year didn't bear a lot of fruit, so to speak, in the win column. But I think there was a ton of valuable experience that we all have to be able to take out of these situations and learn from.
Did you try too many to get in the win, to make them count in the win column?
No, I just think that when you win, everything works, and when you lose, then it was a bad idea. It was a terrible idea, and the players, stink, and now everybody's questioning coach, and that's how it goes, right? When you win, you're perfect, and everybody's a genius. And when you lose more than everybody thinks you should, then you have to find somebody to blame, and that everything went wrong, and what is wrong with this team, and I just can't understand it. And that's the way it goes, and which is why you gotta want to be a winner.
Sometimes there's no blame. It's just a function of reality.
Yeah.
The reality seemed to be it didn't work for a good chunk of this season. I'm just wondering if there's a why.
I'm sure there is a why. I'm really not sure of what the why was, so to speak. I think that's more probably a conversation internally and trying to come up with an answer than me and you sitting here. But yeah, I'll have no problem dealing in facts, Doug. And I think that whatever the reason was, whether you could point in any which direction. That's the nature of it when you lose more than what you want to, right? Was I to blame? Was coach to blame? Was Pascal to blame? You blame the roster? Do you want to blame management? Like, you can blame whoever you want. I think internally, for the people who wear the jersey and the people in the locker room, the people who are proud to be a part of this organization, then we get together and we try to figure out what it was internally, and then we go from there. Other than that, the rest is just noise, and for the fans and you guys to figure it out. You know what I mean? On the inside, we got work to do.
Brad, when it comes to your off season and kind of the people that you're working with, the people that you've worked with for a long time, and then also just like your circle, your family, your friends, how important are they, I guess, to your off season development, and then all the decisions that you have to make?
Yeah, development 1,000%. I have an incredible team of trainers and people that I work with. Obviously, my brother is my basketball development trainer that I work with, but we work with a lot of different guys. Added a full-time strength and conditioning, coach this year, which really helped me throughout the season, as well as another guy that I have, back home. So we put a ton of work in, throughout the season. It's turned into a 12-month, thing now, where you just got to have your body at the right shape at the right time. And unfortunately, the plan was to be at peak performance, at this time of the year, and it didn't work out that way. As far as decision making goes, it's more so, the circle shrinks a little bit, right? It's like the people inside my house, and then maybe my mom or my dad or whatever. But yeah, for those decision making processes, it's just what's best for me and my family. So that list is pretty short.
There's some uncertainty regarding Nick's future, at least there's some speculation about it. Would you be surprised if he wasn't here next year? And assuming that you're back, would you be disappointed if he wasn't coaching?
Yeah, I would say I would be surprised from the standpoint that I haven't had any conversations, otherwise. I think, like I said before, I think the trade deadline this year was like the beginning of all of the outside noise, and not that it wasn't there before, but like most of the noise around this team comes from outside. And I'm not saying there's no validity to it. I'm not saying that there aren't conversations being had. I can only speak for me and my experience. So I haven't had that conversation with coach. I haven't had that conversation. I haven't heard that conversation from anywhere, and I haven't had it with management. So to answer your question, honestly, yes, I would be surprised at this moment, if he wasn't back next year. And I think he's got another year on his contract, right? So whatever happens, they'll figure it out. We're all grown-ups in this league and understand everything's a business, but coach has got my full support. I love playing for him. I've had some of my best years under him. Obviously won a championship. I think we got one of the best staffs in the league. And like I said before, everybody has things that they can do better, including myself. So I just focus on what I need to do better and let everything else work itself out.
Do you think he's being, aside from you, do you think he's being heard well by the rest of your teammates and the message continues to get through?
Heard well, like in terms of.
Is this message getting through consistently with the majority of the roster?
I think so. Again, I really don't know how you gauge that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think so, honestly. I'm not trying to be a jerk. I really think so. I think also, like I said to Doug, like, how do you gauge that? Because if you're only going off the results, then you would say no, right? Because it's not working or whatever the case may be. But, I mean, he came in this year, he was coaching his butt off from day one. Whatever, the situation was and the results were, they were. We all got to live with that. So I know when I don't play well, we lose. I don't sleep. I didn't sleep last night. I'm sure he didn't sleep last night. Like, we're all in this together. And, and until that changes, I'm always going to have everybody's backs that's in that locker room with us.
Fred, when looking at the identity of this organization over the years, one of the things that people probably say is that generally the team's, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. With an offense that's generally so ISO heavy, do you think that's possible?
Yeah, but I also think that we are an offense that takes what we can get at times too. And so with the roster, I know for the majority of the time, without a five, that almost forces the defense to switch 1 through 5, right? And so there's a lot of ways you can get better at playing against switches, but sometimes you just got to beat your guy. And if you beat your guy enough to win, then it's great offense. And if you don't, then it's not, right? So the basketball convo is so intricate and, it's so detailed that it's hard to say one way or another. I think that the ball movement and just getting everybody involved, I think it developed and got better throughout the season. But I don't know if we make a couple more buckets last night in ISO situations. I don't have to answer that question today. You know what I mean? And that's just the way that it goes sometimes. So, yes, I think that it can work. I think that the offense needs some work for sure. The defense needs work. Like, we all need work. We need to get better individually. We need to get better as a group. We just need to get better.
Fred, at the trade deadline, Cy was here, and he referenced, team play selfishly, that kind of thing, which we haven't really heard much here at all. And, looking back, like, what kind of, if you agree with that, like, what kind of happened in that sort of 6-week period, when things really seemed to kind of go south, and what prompted people not pulling on the rope at the same time as needed?
It's hard to pinpoint that. I mean, again, I didn't really see it that way, but he saw it that way, and I certainly respect his vision and where he's sitting. He didn't make it up. He didn't make it out of thin air. He said it for a reason. It definitely caught our attention and opened everybody's eyes. And, yeah, I think, as some of the games go, and it feels like there's a moment there to try to win, and then, you tend to try to do it yourself, or you're worrying about yourself, or whatever the case may be. It's just, self-preservation. It's human nature, right? So I think people, just tend to focus on self. But all of that, whether that's a result of losing or that's the reason why you're losing, is something that was addressed, and I think that it definitely got better once he called it out.
Fred, a couple of months back when you guys were in front of those low points in the season, you said that this
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I learned, that was your first question, right? I think the biggest thing I learned this year is just that I just got to be myself. And, there's a lot of responsibility that comes with the position that I'm in. And so you explore different avenues and you try to find different ways to connect, whether it's connecting to guys or whether it's finding different results on the court. So I tried a lot of different things, like I said. But I think just got to be myself and let everything, fall where it is instead of trying to, be perfect and please everybody all the time. I'm always going to lead by example. I'm always going to play as hard as I can. I'm going to try to guard my guy as best I can. I'm going to try to play the right way. I think that goes without saying, but I develop more, relationships, obviously, as you spend more time with guys. So, I think I don't know if anybody has been characterized as being a great leader on a losing team or a bad team. I haven't really focused on that part. I always look at the winners, right? And we got to get back on that side of things, and I think everything else will take care of itself.
The second part of that question is just like the league is getting younger, more money, more media, more outside noise, like we kind of talked about. How does that change your approach inside the locker room? Because the league is changing pretty fast.
Yeah, it changes everything. I mean, it changes everything about the whole NBA. Like, usually you get to a point where you are on, 15 maybe years, you get ready to retire and you don't recognize the league anymore. Everything's changed. I'm only year 7 and I feel like I'm on year 17. Like, so much has changed in so much time. In so little time, so much has changed, and I think we're in one of the most rapidly changing eras of our game. So you got to be adaptable. You got to have an open mind, and you got to continue to just, like, I think if you put the team first and you focus on winning, hopefully you'll gravitate and kind of attract other people that are on that same page and put winning first, and everything else will kind of take care of itself.
Right, you mentioned outside noise earlier, whether it's speculation ahead of the trade deadline or Nick's future with the team. Was that a distraction in the locker room?
It calls for some conversations. I don't know if it was a distraction. I don't really deal in distractions. I got a million distractions. I think you got to show up to work and do your job. I'm not sure how much it took away from some of the other guys. I can't speak to that. We talked about some of the things as a team as they came. But, yeah, you either play through it or you don't. I don't know. I don't really see any of the rumors or any of the stuff having too much effect on our group. I didn't see that personally, but who knows?
Did you feel that there was a lot more on you this year? Because remember, there was like some random stuff about your Instagram. Like, did you
Yeah, again, it comes with the territory. Like, I knew what I signed up for. I know I got a pretty good perspective on life. So, not that every day is perfect, and not that I don't get frustrated, and not that, I'm invincible and my feelings don't get hurt, right? But I think I got a pretty good perspective on life, and if this is the worst I got to deal with, I'm doing all right. So, it's not too much complaining you're going to get from me. Again, learning, right? You got to be able to learn from it. And somebody who was struggling with social media already, this was a little push I needed to, maybe just get rid of it all completely. So, I'm learning and growing and evolving as a basketball player, but also as a man, as well.
Right, there's also a lot of early injuries in the season. Of course, you had some lower back spasms yourself. How much is this kind of off season key in terms of coming into the season next year healthier, ready to go? How much can you control?
Some of that stuff just happens. I think you gotta. It's weird. It's a gamble either way. I think with the way that the season ended for me last year, I wanted to come in, so ready to go that I probably overdid it a little bit. I usually come in and taper it, as we go, and I think that was probably one of the reasons for my slow start and the bad shooting was just that, I was physically ready to go in tip-top shape, but I don't think my body responded that well to it early on. But Yeah, I think I ended up almost close around 70 games. A couple of those games were whatever that new COVID that came out this year knocked me out a couple games there in December. But yeah, I thought all in all, my body was in a great place this year, and I have to give credit to the work that we put in my trainer, Coach Mike.
You mentioned being affected by social media a little bit in the past. Your teammate Chris Boucher has talked about how the influx of betting has kind of affected the fan-player dynamic. What have you noticed about that?
It's a hot topic right now, obviously. Again, one of those things that's changing. We're gonna, probably not remember a time where that wasn't the case here in a couple of years, or it'll be normal. So, I'm not trying to be insensitive to anybody, but I mean, my rule of online bullying, cyberbullying, is just like put the phone down. You know what I mean? That's how I deal with it, and I'm very sensitive to people who it's not that easy for, that it has a different effect on. I totally understand that, but for me personally, it's like, I'm not going to looking for things that hurt me or that, I know is there. Now we know, right? So, and it's, you got to change your behavior as well, and just keep adapting and trying to adjust to it. But it's something new that's in our league now, and it used to be, teenagers and 8-year-olds that were just heartbroken that we lost, that couldn't believe that why I didn't make any shots, and now it's people trying to turn $30 into 30,000. So, you gotta be able to learn and live and adjust to it.
In terms of how you guys played and what you guys have here, you've always been honest of your assessment. You have Yak now. I mean, he's a free agent.
Mm-hmm.
He's provided something new. What are the one or two things you think internally or externally you guys really need more of?
I think we just got to find another identity, you know what I mean? Whatever that is. And I think that the chaos and the freedom, it worked when it worked. And I think that going forward, just pick what we're gonna do. Like, it's not really that complicated. You know what I mean? We lock into how things are gonna flow offensively. Obviously we got a ton of talent for the breakdown situations. Defensively, I do like the system that we have in place. It needs to be executed at a higher clip. We need more reps and we need sharper. But I think for us, the devil's gonna be in the details, and I think that we have to rep that and build that. Like, we can't try to do it by osmosis and try to carry over a championship from 4 years ago and expect to add that to a group that we have now. Like, we got to build that every single day, starting as soon as we get back in the gym this summer. Like, you got to start building every single detail, offensively and defensively. And then when you get down to a situation where you need to win a game, those things show. And I think that's, as a group, for the players, that's my focus, is getting our habits back right and our details back right. And I think everything else will fall in place accordingly after that.
Fred, as a point guard and a leader, what did you see as Christian's biggest area of growth from the season to now?
I think just seeing the game a little bit, right? So, I mean, for a guy like him, he's the best place for him to be is going to be ahead of the play. So the more he's ahead of the play and playing on his toes and not guessing, the better, right? I think he has a potential to be an incredible rim protector. Obviously he's got to get stronger, get his legs underneath him, get in shape so he can, I think his strengths is going to be in running the floor and just being mobile and outrunning guys. So the more he can do that, a lot of his work is going to be in his body and his conditioning and strength. But he's a smart guy. He's a great kid. And I think that he can be a really solid player.
With the social media stuff, for him being a rookie, do you go out of your way to talk to him about that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, we just keep it light. But it's like bus convos, playing convos. We talk and laugh about it. The stuff that's normal to us is probably mind blowing to you guys. So, again, I didn't put that much into all of that stuff. We're making millions of dollars to play basketball. I don't know if you can be bullied in a DM. You know what I mean? I'm just being real. Just block it, or what are we doing? It's. Again, I'm not trying to be insensitive. I'm just saying, it is what it is.
Fred, two more. You were
the CBA changes could have had an impact on you with some of the contract stuff. How do you see the new CBA changing? What are you happy about? And we got a new season tournament coming, some contract changes. What do you think of the new rules?
Yeah, I wasn't too crazy about it either way. You know, I didn't feel strongly about any of this stuff. I mean, again, the league is changing. I'm gonna keep saying that the league is changing in a lot of different ways. I thought there was some good stuff added in there in terms of whether, you know, they make room for the vets. They added another two-way. The in-season tournament, I'm sure, will be a hit for the fans. It'll be weird, you know, just like the play-in was weird. But yeah, I think we're in a changing time of the NBA where, you know, you're trying to please a consumer that's unpleasable, and the league is just growing so fast, and, you know, it's turned into such a global machine, and they're trying to, you know, still do the PR thing. It's a lot going on for the league, right? But I think all in all, the game's in a good place. I think it's going to keep growing, and you just got to be able to keep an open mind to everything.
Fred, do you see a clear path? Sorry, do you see a clear path to this team becoming like a contending group? Like, is there something we just got to hit this and this, and we're good? If so, you know, what do you think that is?
Yeah, I'm definitely not gonna say if not, but I think, yeah, damn, Mike. I think again, I'll go back to what we can control right now, which is learning from all of our mistakes, learning, you know, understanding coming in from the summertime, from training camp day one. Every single detail matters. Building those habits up, playing for the team's success, and obviously, you know, whether there's additions through roster changes or whatever, probably need a little more shooting, you know, around some of what we got. But I mean, really, at the end of the day, you got to find ways to win, and so I think that's like the biggest part of the maturation process as for a team is, like, no matter what it is, there's probably a list of 10 things you can name off for us that we need to address and get better at. But at the end of the day, is this 5 guys on the court, this 17, whatever the roster is now, can these guys come together and get out of this building with a win? You know, and that's what it boils down to. And I think the magic and kind of what we've had, you know, we didn't have as much of that this year as we needed, and that's the difference in probably 41 wins and 50 wins and, you know, missing the play-in or whatever, first round, second round, like those, every level you go in terms of advancing, I think you'll see those teams have that winning fabric and just that intangible magic that is built, but you got to earn that and you got to build that, and I think we're on the process of building that.
What's your best advice for Scotty? Obviously, there's a lot of expectations on him, a bit of a slow start, after a great first year. What's your best advice for him for next year?
I mean, just get in the lab. That's it. That's the only thing I only ever tell him. Scotty's gonna be as good as he wants to be, as good as, you know, whatever he wants to be as a player. I think he can do it. I don't think there's anything that he can't do on the court. But just be a gym rat and just stay in the gym, and I think that'll speed up, you know, the process. And he's doing that. You know, he's learning, like, what his routine is going to be, and, you know, the moves that he wants. He's unlocking new moves on random days. Like, he's just trying stuff and it works. So, yeah, just super gym rat, you know, continue to put the work in. He's got a great attitude. He's a baller, man. He's sky's the limit for him. So I think, you know, obviously finding, you know, what place that is for him in terms of, you know, who he is and what he is. We're still, you know, exploring that. But for any young guy, you know, especially at that age, like, you just got to be in the gym all day, every day, and you know, you'll see the results.
I was going to ask about Scotty too, but just to kind of follow up, you know, he talks a lot about wanting to be a point guard. Obviously, you're the point guard too. How do you see that coexisting, and sort of like how do you facilitate his growth while also sort of, you know, having those ambitions?
Yeah, I would love to play with another point guard. I would love it. You know what I mean? It worked well when me and Kyle did it. Not that, you know, that anywhere the same player, same type of player. But yeah, again, we explored a lot of that this year. You know, there was a lot of times where he was the primary ball handler. It kind of went back and forth. Again, I think I try to share with him as much as I can in my experiences. So one thing that I saw him take a lot of growth in this year was like the value of a possession. His turnovers went way down, organizing, manipulating ahead of the time. He's such a freak that he can just make a play in the moment naturally, but there's a lot of ways where you can set that up way ahead of time. You know what I mean? So he took a lot of steps in the right direction this year. So yeah, I don't know. That's something that, you know, we have to figure out as a group, right? It's like, what is everybody's role and what is it going to be? And it sounds silly to say that, you know what I mean? But a lot of like this regiment that we need, you know, is kind of, that would help things, you know, if we knew everything that was going to come, you know.